What rhymes with that like Millport Dairy? How can you be so extraordinary when I got the conduct and a cool Berkshire pork? The product is nice. I roll dice, feeling my life. Shabbat shalom off the top of my nice height. Yes, this is the ill motes and the flow so gritty, all the way from Poland to New York City.
When times get tough, you need to get round. No need to look backward, put your feet on the ground. Stand up, stand up.
Welcome to the TheFallenState. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. Remember that you can support the TheFallenState by going to TheFallenState.tv/donate. And the TheFallenState is also on locals.com. So click in the link on the video description there to support our work. And thank y'all very much. I have with me Kosha Dillz. He is a rapper, entertainer, best known for his appearance on MTV's Wildin' Out. Kosha, so thanks for coming back on the TheFallenState.
Thanks for having me, man.
I totally appreciate it. How long have you been rapping now?
At this point, like 20 some odd years, really.
How's it going?
I mean, it goes well. I'm still rapping. I'm still out there, still making a living off rap, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And essentially now it's, a lot of my rap style is quite quirky and user friendly. But then whenever something happens in the Jewish world, I sort of become more aggressive and stick up for Jews against hate. So, that has been a recent topic. But everything from marathon. I have a song about the marathon coming out, and then I have a song about anti-Semitism, or I had a song about Kanye, and I had a song about taxes. I'm almost a guy who explores topics.
Nice. That's right. I noticed that most Jewish people, men especially, become doctors or lawyers and businessmen and dentists. And what made you decide to be a rapper instead of one of those businessmen?
Well, I think, even in hip hop, you have a lot of business aspects to it that you're doing. I come from addiction, so I've been sober a long time. I was really infatuated with the lifestyle of drugs and business and thinking I was somebody that I wasn't. I think a lot of people drift over into dental, doctor, lawyer, accountant, things of that nature because it sort of runs through families. So it's built in through a family system where people encourage other people to follow in the footsteps of your father or your uncle, etc.
Oh.
So this is essentially what I just kind of came into. And then my father was very adamant about me making it, business structure and putting it out there as such, from an early time.
Was your father, is he a businessman or a doctor or something?
No, my father was an engineer, but he worked in like machinery shops when he immigrated to the US. But we he just went to engineering school. So,
right.
So just he was very good with building things, etc.
And so who were you closest to growing up, your father or your mother?
That's a good question. I'd say my relationship with my mother is a little bit different than my father. As the youngest, I know that my father was very much into, strictness, and my mother is more of a loving person. She's more emotional. My father was more emotionless.
Nice.
So my father was sort of like get the job done. Sort of comes from a family that's more of an action than an emotional, and it's very common in immigrant families. I feel like a lot of immigrant parents, because they came from nothing, versus maybe a family that was born in America.
And now that you're older, do you appreciate your father's personality or your mother's personality?
I think there's a good balance in both, and it's a good question, because when you become older, you really are interested in why you are the way you are. And as an artist, you have a lot of these emotions, but as a business person, it's like very clear cut. It's like, yes, no, sorry, we're not gonna. Sorry, like sometimes you get these emails and you're like, sorry, we're passing, and then
Yeah.
the emotional part of you is like, I gotta, and I feel like you probably got that from my from the mother, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
which is fine, but you need to have a good balance of both.
Amazing. And so, you're Jewish. Why do you, when you rap, you sound like a black person instead of rapping like a Jewish person?
I think you're talking about my accent. So I think what you're referring to is that the accent or the levels of somebody's voice could sound like that of a particular race. But if you're angry, and then let's say your history of rap is that of listening to maybe 90s rap, which is all, black people from New York, that's what I grew up on. So you made me sound like a Jewish person. I'm not going to sound similar to like somebody you met, like a guy named Edward Finkelstein, who's like I don't know, an accountant. You know what I mean? Maybe this is not, I might talk differently than the way it comes out through a microphone. But as I got older, I've noticed how my voice would change from like 2005 to 2015 to the topics that I'm rapping about, and how you emphasize that. So it is a good question. There's a question that used to come up long ago by people who wouldn't know much about rap, but usually, someone's vocal tone could have a huge difference. In fact, people think that the deeper your voice could be to mean you're not white, or of a specific caste.
Right.
So
Yeah, I saw you on Wild and Out, and when you were rapping up against a white guy, you were doing like, even though you had your hat on, you were acting like a black, rocking over.
yeah, I sometimes wear the double.
Oh.
Yeah, I love hats. When you go bald, people just get good hats, and plus this is my hat. So I
That's
wanted to wear
right.
it. So it has a pickle on it because it's a Kosha Dillz, if you're wondering.
Right.
Yeah, so take advantage of the food product. No, and funny enough though, Sharon, he sounds extremely white. He's Canadian. But like I said, when I get angry or when I get more aggressive in a
Right.
battle, my voice, like, see, talking to you now, it's a little bit lighter.
Right.
But when you rap, if you hear Rick Ross sort of speaking, like speaking from your gut, so your voice could sound deeper. But anyone could necessarily do that. But I don't think it sounds black or white. I just think I'm rapping from my gut.
Can you give me an example of what a Jewish rap would sound like? If you weren't doing it black, you're just totally Jewish with it. Can you give me a small example of what that sound like?
Oh, of something that would sound like Jewish?
Yeah.
Like a Jewish. So I have a song called Schmoozin'. So Schmoozin' is like a Yiddish word, like me and you were talking back and forth. We're schmoozin'. So the line of the song is like, schmoozin' for bringing the party. Who's in for bringing the party? So for bringing is like a get together, right?
Oh.
For bringing the party. Jewish, the models and bubby, bottles are bubbly. I know you love me. But when I perform it, see, that was speaking in a light term. So even when you record it, it sounds different.
Oh, okay.
But you could say more aggressive, like, yeah, Jesse Lee Peterson, yo, schmoozin'. So I speak it more, but that's not necessarily me trying to act a different race. It's just me almost matching my vocal, because if you sing from your neck, then it's going to be higher pitch and you're straining yourself.
Right.
But you could sound deeper and also control your breath by coming from your gut. And this is also for anyone speaking. It's good to know.
That makes sense. Do Jewish people like rap music?
To quote the great Mac Miller, Jewish kids love hip hop music.
Oh.
They love hip hop music. I think it speaks to them soulfully. Jewish kids really appreciate black culture. That's something that I realize. And I think the entire world does. I mean, if you look at it, hip hop's the most popular thing that has been taken in every level that it can, through media, through marketing, through just music, radio. Hip hop is basically pop music now. So kids really just love, like, from the young age of bar mitzvahs to now, kids listen to hip hop, and especially with TikTok and Instagram.
I used to wonder why that is. And then I realized that everybody is so traumatized now and emotional. And so when they hear that rap music, and because the blacks The blacks are so emotional and angry, they sing from emotion, really that traumatized, hurt emotion. And so since most people are emotional now, it kind of reached the dark side of your soul.
I think people listen to a song if the song resonates with somebody.
Right.
Incidents like Tupac had the song Dear Mama, and
I
he
know.
sings about his. So that's a song that no one could have written except him, but it speaks to everyone who's ever lost somebody. So, you know, everyone's going to listen to Dear Mama at one point in their life, and they're going to sing Tupac, whether they listen to that kind of music or not. And that's the kind of beauty of making a song that resonates with people.
And that's because all people hate their mothers until they forgive her. And as long as they don't overcome their mama, they're going to be able to relate to Tupac's song. But once they overcome their mothers and return to their fathers, then they will understand why Tupac is singing about mama like that, but they won't be able to relate to it inwardly because they have forgiven their mothers.
I never really had, maybe I'm going through that trauma like recovery now, but my parents are still alive, so I don't know the experience of it. But I do think that at least when I listen to hip hop culture as like a whole, what I realize is that people are loving their parents, like super respectful. Everyone, like a big theme in hip hop, at least I see, is like, I want to buy my mother a house. They want to, you know, the mother is the queen. It's like, it's like, I want to buy my mom a house.
You know why? Because they hate her and they feel guilty. And they try to replace the guilt by doing things like that, appeasing their mama.
So
they try to appease her to get along with her. So that's why they want to buy her a house. And that's why they call her queen. When you hate someone, you try to satisfy them to keep them happy in order to make yourself feel better. It's not that they love mama, they hate mama. That's why they're trying to please her.
So is that called codependency?
That's called hate.
Okay. All right. Well,
Did you forgive your mother?
My mother has never done me wrong. I forgive my parents for not being emotionally available the way I was trained over here, because they come from a dark, and they come from nothing, and we came from them providing for us. So if you come from a place where it's called a place of privilege, right? It's like you have a little privilege. They're from the era of nothing, right? My mother came to America with holes in her sneakers. My father came making, I think, $1,000 a month. Instead of, like, you know what I mean, working full time to make nothing, and taking 2 trains and a bus to work. And then you look like they don't come from the world of therapy and online talks,
Right.
and emotional upbringing and stuff. My dad would be like, I don't think my father's ever cried his
Nice.
entire life.
A man
You know?
ain't supposed to cry. What the?
That I was not created with the same thing, sadly. But I really respect the people that are like that. It's a very, it's an amazing thing.
But
It's
men
also a sad thing too.
who cry are beta males.
Yeah.
So, like, you haven't gone and forgiven her mother for imposing her emotional will upon you?
That's the thing. I do, because, like, my parents, like I said, they come from a place where it's like they didn't have no one helping them, you know? They don't come. My family, my mother's family, its entire family was killed in the Holocaust. My father's family was killed in the Holocaust. So no one is teaching them how to navigate emotionally through life. They didn't get that. So
Right.
whoever they are, you have to accept your parents the way they are. They said you could choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. So you need to figure out how to get along with your family.
Amazing. And so are you, you're not an emotional person?
Sadly, I am, and I'm working on that. I get emotional, yeah.
But you're not going to overcome it until you forgive your mother, because she created you in her image. And when you go and apologize for resenting, she couldn't help it. You apologize for resenting her, then God would take your mother's nature away from you and give you his nature, which is of your father.
I forgive I try to not live with resentment. I read something the other day that said resentment is a leading cause of heart disease.
Yeah.
Because you hold something in you.
Yeah.
I'm projecting onto you. The sad thing is you don't even know that I'm like you don't even know that I feel this way about you. So I'm holding it in. And I had a discussion with someone the other day, and I said, why? They came out and said some things to me, and I was like, well, why didn't you say that 2 months ago? So I don't understand. And that's honestly the failure of most relationships, is holding things in. So I mean,
well, I want to encourage you. You can smoke on it, but I want to encourage you to realize your mother was wrong for imposing her will on you, and go and forgive her for it. She did the best she could, and God will forgive you. And don't ask your mama for forgiveness or your father. You forgive them, and God will forgive you, and He'll take all that emotion from you and give you pure love, which is logic. And in logic, there are no emotions at all. It's just logic, and it'll take you through life. But you got to face your mama.
I'll tell her I forgive her, but she'll be like, "What are you talking about?" I don't think she's even.
It's hard for women to admit that they're wrong. So even though she knows what you're talking about, she's not going to admit it. But at least you know, I'm sorry for resenting you, and God will forgive you. She doesn't need to understand it. You need to understand it to overcome it.
Okay.
Amazing.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. So in this Wild and Out show, the black show, I know that the Nick Cannon guy was under attack for some so-called, well, not so-called, I guess, but making anti-Semitic remark on a podcast once. And how did they accept you, being a Jew? How did they let you in? Was it based on affirmative action or what?
Well, I went to the auditions, and a lot of people ask me this question. And there's also another Israeli there on the show when we auditioned, or MASH, and we started speaking like Hebrew on set. It was fun. So we're like, wow, we got a secret thing going on. Everyone knows we're talking about them. So it became,
that's right.
And you got to mess with whatever. It's an audition. TV auditions is like a different breed. And the thing is, I beat everybody when it came to rapping. I beat everybody, and I think that's it. Like comes to rapping and comes to battling, I'm able to beat other people, and I think that's what they want. Obviously, yeah, it does look cool if they could put me up against the other people that are the stars of the show. And it's really cool to be a Jewish guy in a black television show. I mean, that's a big honor, at least within my own community. And it's honestly, there's really good people on the show. I mean, I think you've interviewed some of the people on the show, and there's some really strong people that are on it. So, I mean, like, it's really helped me in my confidence and just to be on the show and win, win and be funny. And if I lose, and also be funny, because that's how you win with the show,
Yeah. Did you ever believe that Nick Cannon was anti-Semitic?
Well, I mean, the things that people said at that time were, but I thought when people go on podcasts and they sort of go on rants, and definitely the joke is, I guess, at any point, if you're on a podcast for longer than 50 minutes, I would say some messed up things about Jewish people too, because you're on a podcast for 50 minutes. I think that's the cutoff date, So I thought to myself, I was really bummed out about it, but then I realized that he did a lot of work and learning, and I think learning is obviously the most you could do, especially if someone's, because the problem is with hate speech and things of that nature is that everyone thinks they're right according to what they have learned.
Yeah.
Spoke about forgiveness. So I think forgiveness is like the number one thing. Like, I don't want to hold resentments against anybody. And here I have an opportunity to show some good spirit on the show and do great and entertain something that he's built, and take that away. He's really created the most successful black television show that's still running, as far as like moguls. I mean, it's 20 seasons deep.
And so now you don't believe that he was and is anti-Semitic?
No, he's not.
He's not.
In fact, he works with a lot of Jewish people, and there's actually a good amount of Jewish people on the show, which is really nice. But it doesn't mean that people can't learn more, because anti-Semitism's and also racism, I think they're growing things, and they look different in certain years. So certain things that happen in the 2000s are different in the 2010s, and right now, where we're at right now, this is an anti-Semitism that you haven't really seen, and not that many people are familiar with it because they've never seen a war happen in the Middle East, and that's completely different than what happened with Nick at the time.
Amazing. And so I saw a video where you called out Kanye West for his
Yes.
quote unquote anti-Semitism. And do you still believe that Kanye West is anti-Semitic?
Yeah. I mean, I've known people that have worked with him, and people said he harbored those views for a really long time, and it was only a matter of time. And that was from numerous sources. But the sad thing to me is because I really respect his genius, but you see, anti-Semitism and just bigotry and hatred are diseases. So they sort of grow like a cancer. So last year we had this thing and you thought everyone was overreacting. And at a certain point, everyone says, wow, he's overreacting. But just years before that, the same sort of vitriol was the reason why there were some rabbis killed in Jersey City. And after that, there were 25,000 people that marched across for peace and unity. Ironically, the community that had people that they lost, they didn't even show up. The extremely religious community, the ones that get attacked that look very Jewish with the, as you said, the Jewish hat, or a yarmulke or a black hat or a shtreimel that you see the guys with the fur hats. You ever see the shtreimel?
Yeah.
So because they were just praying, they're just, they don't find like to go on a march as something, as something that's beneficial to them. So that grows from 2019, 2020 to 2021 with something in the Middle East, and now 2023, all those people kind of, it's intermeshed. And that's sort of what happens with cancer, right? It grows in one part of the body and then it travels all around through the heart until it just swallows you up.
And so are you able to forgive Kanye for his remarks in the same manner that you have forgiven Nick Cannon?
I'm able to forgive everybody provided the context of how things move forward,
Right,
Like,
because Kanye is in music, he's an entertainer like Nick is, and you said that you have a mush of all kind of stuff in entertainment.
Right.
So you're able to let it go with Kanye as well?
It's a great question. I think for myself right now, I had this discussion where the world is right now with the war in Israel. And it was, sometimes you ever meet those people who say, man, I wish I had the problems I had yesterday. And that's sort of where we're at.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's like, you're like, wow, remember then? It's like more money, more money, more problems, the Biggie Small song. And, the where we're at now, we almost wish we had it. But I truly believe that a lot of it is all interconnected when it comes to the dismissal of what Jews say. So, for instance, while people are speaking up about what has happened, no one listens. And then they try to come and say, hey, we need proof. And now if you look in the past couple of years, how it's grown, you're going to see a lot more anti-Semitism across the U.S. and the world now due to the war. But it all starts with what people say and put out into the world. It just doesn't happen like that. People are trained, and it's their ideas that are in heads that, recycle.
And so you are able to forgive Kanye and rap and sing with him if it came about?
Yeah, if it came about, I'm sure I would be able to, provided that he would do the same exact work that Nick did. But Kanye feels he's above in some sense, because I feel that Kanye is financially way more successful, to be honest. So puts himself in a different position, and I think Kanye just went quiet. But Kanye is a different sort of mogul than Nick,
Amazing.
But shout out to Nick, because he's given me the greatest of opportunities to really, represent who I am and be myself. He shouted me out on the Mike Tyson podcast. Isn't that crazy?
Amazing. You said that you had some addictions earlier. Like, are you over all that?
I've been sober for 19 years. Yep. No drugs, no alcohol. No
Nice.
smoking since 2007. No cigarettes.
And I want to ask, then I want to get into the war thing, and so much I want to ask you. Ask,
Okay.
how do you feel about the anti-whitenism?
The anti-white.
Whitenism.
Where is that? Is that a term that I don't know of? I've never heard that until right now.
You know how everybody blamed the white man for everything.
I think you're speaking about
all
liberal.
races blame white people. They call them white supremacy. They blame white people if they fall down in a toilet somewhere.
I think you're speaking about liberals, right?
Well, everybody really.
Back on a conservative person.
There are conservative blacks and whites liberal. I know liberal whites do that think that white racism exists when it really doesn't. How do you feel about the attack upon white people, and especially white Christian men, but not only? How do you feel about anti-whitenism?
I'll tell you how I feel about racism. I feel that there are just regular, like I do shows, a lot of shows in Utah, and they're just, and I'm a Jewish rapper there, right? So it's kind of like, I'm Kosha Dillz, I'm going to do a show, and there's just white people that are just like Tom Davidson. Let's say that's his name. Let's just make this guy up.
Right.
And Tom Davidson drives a pickup truck. He goes hunting. He goes fishing. He goes all these things that some people would create as the guy that holds a picture with the fish. He's like a white guy. And he's sort of in like modern day time in like music or culture. He's like the last person. He'll be the first person to get judged, even though he might be the best person. He could also be a bad person. But if he is a bad person, then this guy's going to get crucified just because he fits the mold of they're going to put him in the mold of like white supremacy, etc.
Right.
I think we're getting to a point now where there's not as much, but I do know that fear mongering, I try to lead with empathy to everybody. And even if people grew up different than me, I'm sometimes the first Jewish person people have known. I'm definitely the first Jewish rapper people have known in many cases that's also on a TV show that they know.
Right.
And everybody knows Wild 'N Out. So for me, I hold a really interesting place. And I've met people that are fans of a show that watch Black culture and digest hip hop music that are still saying racist stuff subconsciously because that's how they are raised, but they were taught it was okay. And that's the problem. We live in a world where everyone thinks they're right. Everyone thinks the way they grew up was proper. And me, as somebody who had a lot of life experience, I have to lead with a little bit of, okay, this guy just doesn't know. Not everybody knows. So
are you against anti-white sentiments?
I know I gave you a complex answer not to that question.
Are you against anti-white?
I'm against anyone that's anti anyone.
I'm sorry.
And especially, but most of those people that are anti everything include being anti-Jewish and anti-Israel, and right now that's sort of what I'm focused on.
Right. I'm black and I'm slow, so I missed the answer. Are you against anti-white Semitic?
That doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
Anti-white Semitic. I see how you flip that. That is a crazy tongue twister. Anti-Semitic is anti-Jewish, and then anti-white. I'm against people that are anti. And currently, what I'm leading with is that I'm a very central person, and there are really annoying people on the right and very distraught people on the left that lead with anti-white man stuff and anti-everything and anti-Israel and anti.
So are you saying that
let me just say this before. As a Jewish man, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So somehow you are hated by everybody, and that's what I always seem to deal with. So I never thought about the answer.
And so now that I've asked the question, are you against anti-Semitic, anti-white Semitism?
Nah, I can't answer that question because it's a tongue twister, and I feel like I'm doing it. I really don't get it.
Oh, you know how
I'm against anti-Semitism. I'm against racists. And I do not appreciate people that come from a culture of the white man did it. I think that's sometimes like, I think we all need to take a look at ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's what I focus on.
I believe that. And so,
That's it.
do you
That's
love
it.
white people?
Huh?
If you can, you can hear.
Oh wait, I couldn't hear. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you love white people?
I love all people, so that includes Democrats, Republicans, everybody. That's the beauty of music. I get to meet all of them.
And so, do you love white people?
Sure.
Okay. So let me ask you quickly. There's so much I want to talk to you about, man.
I want to show you. I see all this stuff. It's all gifts. Argentina, Israel, Ukraine. I get gifts from people from all over the world.
Right on.
No, and some of my greatest fans are white dudes from the middle of nowhere, America, and they're just down because they appreciate what's in the heart of a person.
Have you ever dated a black woman?
Yeah.
You dated a black woman?
Mm-hmm. Not long. I haven't even dated that many women in general in my life for long term, but yeah, I have dated black women.
And how were you able to go back? Because once you go black, you can't go back. How were you able to go back?
I mean, usually my date, I wouldn't take dating advice from myself. And if anyone's listening, you probably shouldn't ask me. So I don't know what direction I am. I'm just, really not dating anyone, but that's not neither a case nor a point.
So let me ask, this war going on in Israel right now and Palestine, how do you feel about the war? And because of time, give me a short answer. How do you feel about the war between Israel and Palestine right now?
How do I feel about the war between Israel and Palestine?
Right.
I feel it's a huge war of misinformation. It's the largest slaughter of Jews on record since the Holocaust, which my family survived. So that means it's the current generation's Holocaust for Jews. During that slaughter, there were black people killed. There were Arab people killed, Palestinians by Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. And Israel has retaliated with proportionate force. I think now we are in a war of information and media, which benefits off all the attention on Jews and Palestinians in the area. And the people that suffer are the innocent civilians.
Do you feel bad for the Jewish innocent civilians who are suffering and have suffered for this?
Yeah, 100%. I feel bad for all innocent civilians, but I'm Jewish and I'm Israeli, so I'm obviously leaning with my people, and I think that's okay to stand with your people and take care of them. And I'm also very sad that a lot of innocent people die on the hands of Hamas.
Do you feel bad for the Palestinian innocent people that were killed?
Yes, because I believe that, one, innocent civilians shouldn't die in war, and this is for every war on record in the entire history. There will be innocent civilians that die, but also they're used as pawns by their own people for political gain and money. So the people want them almost to die so they could earn more money. And that's how Hamas kind of makes a business. They get more aid money. Their leaders live in Qatar and they make billions of dollars, yet they can't build their own bomb shelters. They can't. They don't do that for their people.
It's been reported that the Hamas people, they surprised the Israeli people when they stormed them that day. Is that true? And why didn't Israel know that these people were coming beforehand?
It's a great question that a lot of us are answering, but it's something that I couldn't even tell you because you think, what would be the chances? 50 years earlier on Yom Kippur War was the same thing, but there was some, if you do some history on it, that were people that were able to notify the Israelis. This was a slaughter, and so many people were wondering, where is the army? Where are they protecting? How did they get in here? And sadly, we had to. It's impossible to fathom how it could happen, while at the same time you're mourning for what has happened. While at the same time, you have to respond to what happened.
Yeah. And how do you feel? A lot of people blaming Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, for that. Do you blame him, or how do you see him now? First,
if anyone knows about the history of the current like political crisis in Israel is that they can't put forth a leader. And once this leader won from the right-wing government, it means a parliament-run style government. So even the people that win, they're not necessarily the majority. The sad thing about death with Jews and in Israel is that the country is now more united than ever, right? I mean, it's like, I think they just did a poll, and 80% of the country believes they'll win the war, that they're united, right? And these are people that were out protesting for the entire year, every week on end by the thousands against Netanyahu and the right-wing government.
I remember that.
And now people want him out because you represent the largest death in the entire history of the Jews since the Holocaust. You're going to align Netanyahu with everything. But Netanyahu, he's lost and he's come back to win. And at this point, people don't want him. But right now, that's not the question at hand. The question at hand is, how do we get the hostages back? That's the most important thing. It really doesn't matter who the leader is. But right now, there is a leadership with him and Benny Gantz. So
Netanyahu remind me of the Great White Hope. You know who the Great White Hope is, right?
I do. I know he's your favorite guy.
Donald Trump. But
Donald
Netanyahu
Trump.
reminds me of him, and he seemed to be the right man in the right place at the right time. I don't think if they had any other leader in Israel right now, they would be able to defeat this. They would never come back again. Am I wrong?
Are you talking about Donald Trump or are you talking about Netanyahu?
Netanyahu.
At this point, I'm really interested to see what happens moving forward. But I think I would be obviously curious of what it would look like if it was Netanyahu and Trump versus Netanyahu with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because I really...
It would be the dream team.
Sadly, you know, people are wondering, you know, how long will it take to get the hostages? And I have friends that I have my own followers that survived the music festival that messaged me. And then if you guys are interested to see the things that they said to me while surviving, I've had friends that have family members that are kidnapped. So it's a very close to home. Everyone who's Jewish and has been Israeli or lived in Israel knows somebody that has been killed, knows somebody that has been kidnapped, or knows somebody that's fighting on the front line. It's a very small country. Proportionately, if you think about it, it would be 35,000 New Yorkers plus that would have died. That's in the scale of the population of Israel.
Your family member made it all right. Nobody was hurt or kidnapped or anything. Your family, right?
No one in my immediate family,
Oh,
no.
good. Nice.
But I do know that it's going to be long drawn out. And like I said, it's a war of the media. And Benjamin Netanyahu or Donald Trump or anyone cannot control that. And that's something that people are doing on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. And that's really what the war has become.
Amazing.
The anti-Semitism, you'll see after this war is over, you'll look at the news and say, wow, there's so many more attacks on Jews all around the world. And so it's not just this war, even if the hostages get home. And that's the problem that we have to deal with.
Are you liberal Jew or conservative?
I'll tell you this. I feel I stand in the middle. I have a lot of liberal values, just the things I care about. But the liberal community of America and the whole world is extremely blinded and doesn't understand. It's the first community to ever ask people, prove to us that you're not lying, and this is what that women were raped and pillaged and shot in their head like they were done by Nazis. And only people that have to do that in the world today are Jews, and no one would even believe us. And it's documented on Instagram Live and Facebook. People are texting family members pictures of them with their phones. And people are still saying proven, and it's not conservatives that are saying it. May be very right-wing people, but mostly it's in the liberal community, and people saying, I don't believe it, Israel's a liar. So
you're not...
I probably won't be liberal for long. But I'm just saying, I've always been in the middle because as a Jew, you're very aware that the radical left is extremely radical,
Yeah.
and then there's a radical right. And they all meet in it's called the horseshoe theory. So they're here, and they meet, you know?
I never understood, and I never understood, I have a lot of Jewish friends, but I never understood how could a Jew be a liberal? It doesn't make sense. And they say they went through a lot already, through the Holocaust and all that kind of stuff. How can you go through trauma like that and still be a liberal? That doesn't make sense to me. In the same way, I don't know how blacks can be liberal, and they always whining and complaining about slavery, Jim Crow. Every time you see them, they bitching, right? But yet they say they're liberal. They support the Democrat. How can they be if they say they've been punished the way they say they've been punished? How can you be a liberal after that?
Well, I'll tell you this. In New York right now, two of the strongest leaders and supporters of Israel are Democrats, Eric Adams and Richie Torres.
Eric Adams, the mayor?
Yeah, and he was
that man, don't trust him.
He's a former police officer.
That man is a quote-unquote racist. He hates white people, in my opinion.
But he's been marching with Jews all over, and he's been a really great defender.
That's why if I were you guys, I'd turn around and go the other way.
I don't really trust politicians, but I do appreciate people that are allies that check in on Jews, especially during the worst time. I want to say that, you know, I'm not like right now, I'm not worried about what I am. I just know that my people are hurting. I want to show up for my people. And I think that's what real men do.
And long story short, though, but how can Jewish people be liberal and gone through the trauma they said they were gone through? How can they still be a liberal rather than conservative?
There's a concept in the Jewish world called Tikkun Olam, which is heal the world. And you know, Michael Jackson had that song, Heal the World.
We are the world.
Yeah, make it a better place.
We are the people.
And
we are the
I tell you what, my father doesn't agree like that. I come from a family full of conservatives, I'm sure. But my, you know, just a value, you know, Jews march with blacks for civil rights, Rabbi Heschel, Martin Luther King. People believe in all these rights. The Jews are the first ones to march when Muslims got banned from the 7 countries. Jews were the first ones there. And there are Jews marching with Palestine too. But, you know, but knowing who I am and where my family comes from and my history of being Jewish and knowing like where Jews come from, I just feel like I'm aligned with whoever is the best for my people right now to make the best decisions. And that's how I feel. I'm not really concerned with liberal, conservative.
So do you support the Great White Hope?
If
Donald Trump?
No, I don't think. But that's because I don't think.
No?
I don't think he's the best one for Israel anymore. In fact, some of the stuff he said was really not great. I know he's your fan. I know that makes you sad, but
why did you change your mind just because you disagree with 1 or 2 things he said? He's still Donald Trump. Why would you change your mind on a few things that he said?
Yeah, he said doesn't say the best things during like responding to what happened in Israel. But
and that would make you change your whole mind about him?
Is he going to run for president again?
Who, Donald Trump?
Yeah.
He's already running. What do you mean? Is he going to run?
He's running? Oh, he is running? I
wasn't totally sure.
I don't know. I don't know if he was in court or going to jail. If Donald Trump went to jail,
you can't keep a good man down. What the?
If he went to jail, would you visit him?
Now, I would visit, I would vote for him, and I would go to jail and take him breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
Okay.
I pick cotton for him.
Hey, listen. do what you gotta do, man. I don't know. Oh man.
So let me ask, what's wrong? Oh, let me ask this. Then I so much I want to ask you, but
yeah, ask me.
At one time, blacks liked the Jews; they didn't hate them. Now the blacks hate the Jews. How do the Jewish people feel knowing that, as you said, they marched with the blacks during Martin Luther King time, and now the blacks have turned on them? How do the Jews feel about that, knowing that the blacks hate them?
I think that's a great question. And I think what you're referring to is Black Lives Matter, the organization.
I'm talking about all of the blacks for the most part.
I don't think that's true.
The Christian blacks,
it's a generalization.
the Black Lives Matter
I don't think
people.
you hate Jewish people, do you?
No, I love the Jews.
There you go. So
I grew up because I see the spiritual connection between Judaism and Christianity, If there was no Judaism, there would be no Christianity. So
We're all tied together.
yeah, so I'm grateful.
And I think the world needs to operate that way. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that's not true, because all the black people that I meet, most of them love me, especially because of how I participate and respect black culture, because I'm a hip hop artist and I do comedy, and this is a highly generated, from popularity from Wild 'N Out with Nick. So
I can tell you how to prove that they don't love you.
okay, go for it.
I don't know if you should do it, because if you do, they're going to throw you out of the black club. But
They're not going to throw me out. I don't think
the
so.
next time you see a black, disagree with them about racism, because there's no such thing as racism. It has never existed. It's a made-up lie. And yet the blacks, not all, but most, they love to believe and cry racism, but racism doesn't exist. So if you want to see if they love you or not,
Well, let me ask
tell
you a
them
question.
that racism doesn't exist and see what happens.
I wouldn't do that, because I
I don't
do.
blame you. I wouldn't either.
Do you believe anti-Semitism exists?
No, I don't.
You don't believe in bigotry of any kind.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Why do you think 6 million Jews were killed? Do you think they were killed for what? They were the cause of all you don't have to say it exists, but they were the cause of the problem. So
Because of human being, the hatred of the heart. It's a spiritual battle. And unless you've been born again of God, your heart is wicked. And in that wicked nature, you're taken out on other people. It's not a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing. So anyone that has anger will destroy you. I don't care if it's your daddy, your mama, your brother, your sister, your
you can
friend.
call it whatever you want, but people definitely hate the Jews right now. That's my
That's what I'm saying.
experience.
It's hatred. It's not isms. It's either good or hate. And most human being hearts are evil. And as Christ said, an angry man is a murderer. And so they did it out of hatred. And if we face the reality of what it really is, instead of putting cutesy names on it, and see that
Right, so
human
you
being
believe that hatred
evil.
exists, but the isms don't.
Right. Hatred exists, but not the isms.
Well, people definitely hate others for
Yes.
being different.
Yeah.
And that's because of whatever they want to blame and not taking responsibility for their own faults.
Well, they don't hate them because they're different. They hate them because their hearts are wicked. And so they have the nature.
You ever hear the
nature
expression,
of evil.
they
and so
hate us?
What?
They hate us because they ain't us. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yeah, but that's not a true statement.
They hate us because they ain't us.
That's not a true statement. They hate you because their nature
It's a
is
saying. I don't know whether you want to say it, but it is a saying.
Right.
It has a
But I'm
ring
sick of all these sayings because they are covered up evil. Human beings must be born again of God, and their heart will change, and then there will be no more wars.
I believe that, and I'll just tell you this honestly. In my life, I believe that anti-Jewish hatred exists, and they figure out how to do it. And I think people hate those that are different from other
All people
colors.
do. Not different from other. They just have hatred in their heart. Because if you didn't have anger in your heart, you could not hate anyone. No matter what they did, it would be on them. And
I try not to. I focus on me showing love versus worrying about everyone who hates everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, it's an amazing power if and I know most people watching this at some point have hated somebody.
Everybody has.
Yeah. So
And
by
everything,
showing love
all
and
this
showing
stuff
up
is
for other
happening.
people,
All this stuff is happening. It is happening with all races of people. It's happening in all families. It's happening in relationships and everything because it's evil. And evil people cannot get along because there is no love. Everything is happening to everybody until their hearts change from anger to love.
I'd say that at least in Israel, what's happening now, the kindest people that I've had interactions with Israel versus Palestine for the past 17 days have been actual Palestinians. So my suggestion, the most people that are showing hatred aren't either of that kind. They feel like they're left out, like they have survivor's guilt, and they're coming in with their opinions and this and that, and they're bringing all their life trauma into people that actually have the trauma.
They blame
and they're,
us, yeah.
piling on to us.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is if you don't have a part of if you see two people on the street, they're fighting, why would you go in there and start and join the fight? And there was 1-on-1, and then now it's 20 on 87, and
Yeah, don't take a side. Let the two people fighting. The fight is only between those two and no one else. But people with anger in their heart, they'll take a side, and they'll divide, and they'll start fighting one another as well.
Well, that's originally the problem of Israel and the Palestinians, is the plight of other people pretending like they care, which they really don't.
And that's how the blacks are. The blacks don't care about anybody. They don't love one another. That's why they kill one another, rape one another, jealous and envious, because they have no love, and they got to overcome their mama. They don't realize the anger they have is that of their mothers. Because
I don't believe that. I do not believe that, but I do understand you have a different perspective.
You could bank on it. They hate their mothers. Why do you think they act like women if they don't hate their mothers?
I want to share this story for people that might not know it. There's recently in the news, it came out that one of the Hamas terrorists called his father from his phone, from one of the people that he killed, his phone. And he called up his father, Abu, I killed 10 people. I killed 10 people, and asked him if he was proud of him, which just shows you that what your whole theme is about, of how people grow up in the household, is really what sets the tone for people the rest of their life. And you can't really make peace with a society that raises people to hate others.
Well, all people do that because, especially with the woman. Did you know that Satan is the woman's god? And then the God above is the man's God. Did you know that?
Say that one more.
Did you know that the devil is the God below? The devil is the woman's God, and the God above is the man's God. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Huh?
I did not.
So why do you think the evil come through the woman and corrupt the children and the husband and everybody?
I think, especially in Middle Eastern culture, not American culture, women are the submissive members of the household. You know what I mean? Sort of like old-fashioned.
Have you ever met a Jewish woman that obeyed you?
No.
It doesn't exist, buddy.
That's good. I'll take that into my future.
Thank you. So let me ask, what's wrong with the blacks?
Nothing. I would never say, and I don't think it's proper of me to comment on what's wrong with anyone else except myself. I could only tell you what's wrong with me, Jesse, and that I'm too emotional. I need to stop being a beta.
Do you know that any man that's emotional is a woman? You have your mother's nature.
Yeah, and I do my best to tough. Do you ever listen to David Goggins?
No, I don't know who that is.
He's
Do I know David Goggins? No, I don't know who that is.
He's African-American male, former Navy SEAL, lost 100 pounds in 3 months, and he ran 8 100-mile races 8 weeks in a row, all in the power of the mind, and he believes in calcing the mind.
Did he forgive his mother?
Yes, he did.
He forgave his mother?
Yeah.
Will you forgive your mother?
And he also, his father, I think, also, he has a crazy, I don't know exactly, but the book is amazing, and I just want to tell I think it's something that helped me callous and become tougher, to become more of a person of action rather than a person who would ponder. I think.
Did he say he forgave his mother?
Yes, I think that, and his father.
Nice. That's what you need to do so you can overcome that emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a work in progress. And I tell you what, if you don't work on it, the same problems I had at 32, I have at 42. And it's way harder to unlearn things when you get older.
It's in your spirit. You need to be born again spiritually of the Father. You need to overcome that dark spirit, which is from your mother, and return to your Father. And I guarantee you would not be emotional anymore. It's a spirit. You can't overcome it by yourself. But let me ask, because of time, did you know that the worst thing other than abortion the worst thing that ever happened to the blacks was the civil rights movement?
Why would that be?
Because prior to the civil rights movement, the blacks were doing very well. They had families, they owned land, they worked for themselves. They didn't have some false idol leaders like Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson and all those people over them. They thought and did for themselves. But when the civil rights movement happened, they sold their souls over to to the so-called civil rights leaders. And then the civil rights leaders sold them over to the Democratic Party, destroyed their families, and the blacks haven't been worth a dime ever since. It's just been downhill.
Well, that's not civil rights. Civil rights is not the fault of Democrats. It's just how it got acquired.
No, it's the fault of the civil rights movement because the blacks believed Martin Luther King and all those guys. And then when they made them their leaders, Martin Luther King sold them over to the Democratic Party. We're going to give you a welfare check because you can't make it because you're black. And it's just been downhill ever since. You notice how not all blacks is not worth a dime?
I don't know that. I think civil rights is...
You're not paying attention. You're too busy rapping.
Jews march side by side with the black community.
But they don't even like the Jews.
Huh?
If you can, you can...
I can't hear you. No, you said we don't even like the Jews.
I said
don't think
the
that's
blacks
true.
don't like the Jews.
I think there are people that are miseducated about our history, and they would, provided they were willing to be patient with time and actually meet some cool Jewish people. I will tell you this, though.
That's not going to help if they don't change their heart from anger to love.
I can speak on behalf of my community. I'll never speak on behalf of someone else's community because I don't feel that's right. I do think that, if people live in fear and always quick to say, anti-Semitism, everything, I feel like there's so many different kinds of anti-Semitism. The most empowering thing that anyone could do within their own community is know their history.
Do you have fear?
Yeah, but I do. Knowing my own Jewish history.
If you drop the anger, you won't have
Israeli,
fear.
Let me tell you something real quick. Knowing about your own Jewish history, knowing about being Israeli, knowing about the reestablishment of it, knowing about Jews, where they were, different parts of the world, and taking pride in knowing about where you are, will have you see through all the crap that people are putting on the internet right now and blaming you for this and calling you out.
But it won't change the heart. They will still have the fear. That's
okay, but it empowers you. The more you learn, which is hard for me to learn because I so think quick. I'm a freestyle rapper. I slow down and I build up the callus and become tougher by knowing my history.
Amazing. I got to put you on the hot seat. So I need you to answer these questions as quickly as possible.
Yes.
The hot seat.
What is a man?
A man is someone who shows up early and stays late and gets the job done.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
Have I ever seen a ghost?
Yes.
I think I've felt a spirit in 2004 when I ran from the police and I had drugs on me and they didn't find it and I got sober then. So that was the time that I
True or false? Real men make boys first.
True or false? Real men make boys first? I can't answer because I'm single with no kids.
Do you love white people?
I love all people, including white people.
Do you love white people?
I love all people, including white people.
Do you love white people?
Why not?
Do you love white people?
4 times the charm.
Do you love white people?
5 times the charm.
Is the earth flat or round?
Round.
Who was better, Biggie or Tupac?
You were going to say Biggie or toothpaste, but I would say toothpaste is good in the morning, but Biggie is better.
Have you ever, I asked this already, but have you ever dated a black woman?
Yes, sir.
Does a chicken have lips?
That's a great question. No.
Once you dated a black woman, how were you able to go back when you can't go back once you go black?
I felt the ghost. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't take dating advice from me. Don't.
Should we give black people reparations?
Also, there are Black Jewish people too. Sure.
I met some Black Jews, the real Black Jews, when I went to Israel.
Yeah. Ethiopians and people of Dimona.
Should
Yes.
we give Black people reparations?
Yes.
When would enough be enough for the Blacks? When would they stop begging? Would they ever stop begging and blaming?
I think when police officers are able to make judgments and without color.
When the Blacks stop doing the crime, will that end?
I don't know, because I don't commit crime, so I don't really pay attention to who does it.
Do you own a gun?
Unfortunately, no. But I think it's because I'm a convicted felon, I can't. But my relatives do.
It's funny to see a Jewish convicted felon. I never met one before.
That's because
you went black.
Huh?
That's because you went black. That's why you became a felon.
No, I dated the Black girl in my life after I got arrested many times.
Oh, do Black women love criminals?
I don't think so.
Then how were you able to date after you became a criminal?
Because I'm a rapper and I did a show and I met this great girl, so it was cool. A lot of people I meet are through my performance and music.
True or false, sending your kids to public school is child abuse?
Sorry, sending your kids to public school is child abuse?
Yes.
False.
Last but not least, did you have fun?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it was a great time.
I'm
happy that you let me speak about the Israeli war with your followers, because it's something that's really dear to my heart. And I'm Israel Chai, and I want to and I appreciate people that are willing to look at what Jewish people have gone through and that we were slaughtered, and to show sympathy for us.
You're welcome. Tell the folks how to get your songs, your YouTube, whatever you want to give out.
Yeah, I have a new song called "Bring the Family Home." It's about the hostages that we want home right now. There's over 200 currently in Gaza. That's on my YouTube.com/Kosha Dillz. My Instagram's Kosha Dillz, just like this. Spotify's Kosha Dillz, KoshaDillzWorld.com. And if you're interested to have me speak on one of your things too, just reach out on Instagram or my website, and I'd be happy to. I appreciate the opportunity.
Right on.
I appreciate the talk about being a man.
That's right. Well, next time you're in LA, I want you in studio again, all right?
All right. I won't be emotional.
Get over your mama, man. That's beta. Thank you all for tuning in. I absolutely appreciate it. Don't forget, you can support The Fallen State by going to TheFallenState.tv/donate. And The Fallen State is on locals.com. So click the link in the description to support our work. And let me hear from you. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You put on your little Jew hat.
Yeah, I took it because I usually wear it on, but I wanted to show it off to your viewers because it's really pretty. It's nice. I wear it on Wild and Out, and it's made at a caution tape. Shout out to my guy. I get custom yarmulkes.
But how does it stay? You don't have any hair.
I have an interesting shaped head.
Oh.
Sometimes it falls, sometimes it falls off.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you, man. When you're in LA, I want you in the studio.
You got it. Thanks for covering us.
All right, take care, buddy. You got to hear from my producer when we're ready to play this, all right?
All right.
All right, take care, buddy.